Like I said, one of those mixed emotion type days. As you probably noticed, a few yellow ribbons hung around the church here and there, and I think most of us know what that's all about. And I'm gonna ask Joey Plant to come forward, and I don't know if El's come with him or not, if he's going to come up on his own and shake her head. No. Joey's going to share with us. I'm going to embarrass you a little bit because I've known Joey, I guess, in him and his family, been a member of what became the S Church. And of course, just to really embarrass him, he was, just probably a baby when I first known Joey. But I look upon that as a privilege to have seen, not see this young man grow up and come to know the Lord and to go to serve his country and the world and show the strength of the Lord and knowing that the Lord is with him. And he's been we've been able to have the opportunity to pray for him and just have updates as to what's going on, just help us to feel a little closer to those that are sacrificing for our well-being. And I'm just thankful that Joey's here to share part of the story with us today.
Well, I'm just going to talk for a few minutes on my experiences over there and just what I did and what happened to me. And I'll just start off by what I did and how long I was over there. I probably started training for Afghanistan 3 years ago, and me and my buddies went through a lot of training. We were pretty much gone on and off for a good 2 years. I think the last year before I deployed to Afghanistan, I was home for maybe 2 months. We were always on the go, getting ready. And I ended up deploying in, it was May 9th of last year. I was there up until December 1st of last year. So I was there for a total of 7 months. And it was pretty surreal. The day we left, we had to show up pretty early in the morning, and all our families were there. It was a pretty big event, and we all had our time as they formed us all up, and they told us we could have a couple minutes with our families before we got on the bus, and we all said our goodbyes, and it's pretty surreal to know that once we step on that bus, we're not going to be stepping back down until the winter, at least. So we ended up getting on a bus, and we headed down to Trenton and got on a plane from there. And we ended up flying into the main base in Afghanistan, and it's like a small city, and that country's weather is incredible. The heat there, when we left here, it was May, so it was still a little chilly. When we hit the ground there a couple days later, it was a long trip. It was probably in the 40s, which there isn't very hot, but here is brutal. And so the altitude there is quite a bit different. It's quite a bit higher than here. So some of us were having to take a break and just walk into where we're going to be staying that night, because it was just exhausting to walk in that heat and that altitude with all our gear. And so my job over there, I deploy with the Royal Canadian Dragoons. We're a reconnaissance regiment. So our job, all summed up, is to we're kind of the eyes of the army over there. We're the ones that go out. We set up in an area with a small group of guys, and we pretty much watch 360 degrees everything that goes on in that area. And we make decisions and we pass information up from the ground. And so it was a pretty austere job. We would go out for 11 days, roughly at a time. We would go out and set up just in the middle of the desert. We'd have a berm, probably not even up to my waist, and a circle around us. We'd have some razor wire, and we'd have some claymore mines around that. And that was our only protection. And we, I can't say numbers, but there's a small group of us. We're all pretty tightly knit. We had no power, no running water, no beds, no cold drinking water, and it was pretty austere living. We lived in little holes in the ground that we dug in case we were to get mortared or rocketed. We'd be safer than if we were sleeping above the ground. And yeah, we would set up in the area. We would patrol out of our observation posts that we set up, and we'd go into villages. We would ask the villages questions about the area. We'd get to know, a lot of our job over there was getting to know the locals through interpreters and building trust with them. We would work with them, they would work with us, and we kind of built a rapport over there. And we would go on patrols to push insurgents out of areas. So we would go pretty heavily armed, carrying a lot of weight. I think on average we would carry probably 100 pounds, give or take, over there. And yeah, it's quite the workout. But yeah, we would go in, we would talk to locals. We would ask them what's happening in the area, what they thought about us being there, what they thought about the Taliban, whether they would rather us be there or the Taliban. And in my experience, I did a lot of the talking. I had a lot of interaction with locals pretty much every day when we were over there. And every local I talked to loved us. They loved us being around there because we gave them stability and protection. And I don't think I talked to anybody who really liked the Taliban at all. Most of them, you talk with the Taliban, and they shut right down. They don't even want to talk about it. So I was very, very surprised over there. The amount of support we got from the local people. We had, in my trade alone, especially, we lived austere. We didn't have, like I said, we didn't have any running water. We didn't have any fresh food. We pretty much had nothing except for our weapons and vehicles and a cot and whatever gear we could bring out. And the locals would come up every day and give us like fresh grapes out of the fields. They give us whatever fruit they would grow. We even had a local come up and give one of our patrols an entire goat to eat, and it was pretty crazy for them because you haven't eaten fresh food in 3 months, and some guy comes up and gives you a goat, and they end up cooking it over a fire. But yeah, that was really nice to see. And in the PowerPoint they have that's going to play soon, you'll see us talking to a lot of the little kids, a lot of the village elders and everything. And I was very surprised. The kids there are quite a bit like the kids here. They'd always try and prank us or try and get stuff off of us. Like you always have to watch out when they'd swarm you, and next thing you know you're missing stuff. They're unflipping flashlights off your uniform. It's pretty cool. And you could tell that they hadn't had interaction with soldiers before because they go to high five you. When you go to high five them, they completely dodge it and let a hand and so that was pretty cool. We weren't really supposed to, but we would sneak them cookies all the time. We'd sneak them bottles of water, and we all got lots of mail from home, and I appreciate all the mail I got from Yes Church. It was awesome. That was one of the awesome things about going in after 2 weeks in the desert is you always had a whole bunch of mail waiting for you on your bed back in the Fort Operating base. So people would send us like Nerf footballs and like baseballs and all sorts of like toys and everything. And I used to, when we were driving down the road, I'd whip them off the side of the vehicle every once in a while. And you'd see kids just scrambling to grab them. And it was pretty cool because you drive through the next week and they'd still be playing with the same baseball you threw off the week before. It's the only thing they got. And so that was a lot of my job. And for me it was a pretty eye-opening experience over there. They have no plumbing. They have the water they drink is horrible. We had some guys just walk through the water that they drink, and one of the guys lost the ability to move his legs for a while from an infection just from walking through it, and they drink it every day. You drive through areas where there would be people bathing in the river, like downriver, and then just upriver, downstream, they'd be drinking it, and like this is all they got, and it's pretty scary because the amount of water we had to drink when we were over there was incredible. If you weren't always drinking, there's a good chance you were going to go down for dehydration, and they live in that every day, and they don't have any good water. They're forced to drink that, and we were in a fairly rural area, and they were all farmers, or most of them where we were, and the amount that they worked with no water and everything was a huge eye-opener to me. They're very hard-working people, and it's just crazy, like, to see how they lived. And where I was in the summer, we were kind of in the thick of it, so there was always gunfire, always explosions going off, pretty much all day, every day. And just to see them, they're so used to it over there that we would, at the beginning, a lot of our guys would get pretty flinchy when stuff started going down, and the locals there just continue on like nothing happened. There'd be an explosion, and you'd go by it. 2 minutes later, everybody's already out and cleaning up and carrying on. So that was a big eye-opener. And for me, probably the biggest thing over there was I think my faith came a long way while I was over there. I don't ever remember being scared while I was over there, which is weird to say, but it kind of forced me to realize that I had no control over what was going on, and that I just needed to step back and trust that the Lord had my back, and that I was going to be okay, and I was forced to really live by that, and completely get rid of any fear I had of anything that was going to go down. And I think it made me a lot better soldier, and a lot better what I did, because I had no concerns. I knew that whatever was going to go down was supposed to go down, and that I would be okay. And I saw a lot of miracles happen where I probably wouldn't be standing here if everything hadn't been perfectly lined up for me. And I think a lot of the guys I work with, the Army in general and Afghanistan especially, is kind of a hard place for faith to flourish. And I think a lot of the guys seeing me and another guy in my patrol, always reading the Bible. The two of us were always volunteering for everything, as much as my wife paid today. We volunteered for every patrol, every ambush. We were always gung-ho to go out there and get the job done. And never even, we got nervous but never afraid. And I think a lot of guys who didn't have faith on their side and didn't have the Lord in their life, I think they saw us and realized that just that we had something that they didn't. And it even went down to, we had interpreters who were local Afghanis that went through screening and they ended up being our interpreters. And we would I would sit up on a cliff for long periods of time with one of them, and we would listen to an ICOM radio that on the same frequency the insurgents would use, so we could kind of get the heads up if they were about to attack us or whatnot. And he would discuss the Quran and Islam with me, and I would have my Bible and I would discuss Christianity and the Bible with him. And by the end of the tour, he had asked me to go back to FOB and get him a Bible, and he started reading. And something you gotta know about their culture is, like, for him to ask for a Bible is huge, because if he were to ever get caught with that, he would be in some deep trouble. And so it was pretty cool to see that, because they are very set in their ways over there. And also we had, when we first got there hadn't been soldiers there in years, so it was a very, very Taliban-dominated area. And as the tour went on, we started taking ground, we started making some progress, and by the end, some of the locals we knew by name. They knew us, we knew them. So we knew almost everybody in the area. So we could tell who wasn't supposed to be there and who was. And I had one day that really shocked me. It was a little kid come up to the OP. I was talking to him through the interpreter, and he was just talking about everything with me. And he ended up telling us that he wanted to be a Canadian soldier when he grew up. And that was pretty crazy, because like when I went over there, I didn't know what they thought about us, or whether they would like us, whether they would dislike us, and that was a pretty cool thing for me. And I ended up staying over there till September. I came back for a few weeks, and then ended up heading back for another 2 months. So it was pretty nice. It was pretty nice to get back here for a little break, and then finish off the tour for 2 months. It was probably, in ways, the most rewarding 7 months of my life being over there. I did gain a lot of experience, a lot of insight, and just a whole new understanding on what the rest of the world's like in areas. And it had its challenges, it had its hardships, but I think I'm a better person having come back from there, and I think I'm a much stronger Christian having come back from there, because of the danger we were always in, and just having to rely on the Lord for everything. And just to give you a little example of like some of the miracles that you can see in a small place like that. We would come in from 11 days to the FOB we'd have 2 days to replenish our ammunition that we might have used, clean our equipment, make sure our vehicles are up and running. We got to have a shower, which was nice, and shave, and just have cold water and everything. So and we got to read our mail. So those 2 days were really nice to relax. And we would head out really early in the morning. A couple days later, we'd try to stagger the times, just so that way we're less vulnerable moving along the road. But one day, one of our guys got really, really sick last minute, probably 20 minutes before we were supposed to head out. He was thrown up. He was pretty sick. And we were kind of giving him a hard time. We were kind of calling him a wimp and telling him to get in the vehicle and suck it up, and he could puke while we were going down the road. But he wasn't having anything of it. He was like, no, I can't go out. So we were probably 5 or 10 minutes late, which in the military is a huge deal. 30 seconds late can affect stuff. So we rolled out anyways. He came with us, and we were rolling down the road, which is where we're the most vulnerable. And we ended up falling in behind another patrol who had specialty vehicles that are designed to find roadside bombs and improvise explosive devices. So they're a lot better equipped than we are. They have a lot more protection, and they travel like 5 kilometers an hour. So we weren't happy then. And we were yelling at them even more because we had to drive 5 kilometers an hour behind this route clearance package. And we ended up going up to, it's a very dangerous area of the road. It had 2 cliffs on either side, so it forced us to travel down a very narrow section of the road, and the insurgents knew it. So it had been IED'd in the past. So when we go up to there, one of my jobs was to take 2 of my buddies, and we would go 100 meters or so in front of the vehicles. We'd form a V, and we would walk the road, searching for wires, any disturbed dirt, anything that we could, that looked out of the ordinary. And you know all the time you're being watched there. So since we had the route clearance package from us, we didn't have to do that. And sure enough, the route clearance package stopped in that area and reported back to us that we had to spread out, give them some defense. And they ended up finding a 120-pound bomb that was set up specifically to hit me and my 2 buddies. It was wired up and everything, it was ready to go. And it was very, very well hidden. And there's no way we were going to find it if we had been the ones checking the road, because these guys put a lot of time in to bury it. And the route clearance package ended up dealing with it, disposing of it. And when we got back to the OP, we discussed it. And my boss had said, like, if Mitch, my buddy, hadn't been sick, I wouldn't be here. No, my 2 buddies would never have been there. So it just, like, if he hadn't been puking when he was, we would have been on time, and me and my buddies would have walked right into it, and we wouldn't be here right now. So that night, right before bed, when I was praying, it was pretty surreal to sit and think something that small is the reason that I got to go to bed and wake up the next morning. So it's we had a lot of circumstances like that where everything just worked out and we got to walk away from it, and so did like all the other units. It was a pretty crazy place, but yeah, I'd go back if they asked me again in a second. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it over there, but I enjoyed the times, and there were some hard times, but I think me and most of my buddies just liked being over there doing our job. For me, you could really tell that we were making a difference in the area. From when we got there to when we left, the area was just a lot safer, and yeah, so that was my experience over there in a nutshell. I can't really go too in depth with it, but I'll be downstairs for at least a little while after the service. Feel free to come up and ask me questions. I'll answer them as much as I can. Okay, and enjoy the slideshow.